Shabbat shalom, everybody. So good to have all of you back. As I told you earlier, the book God's Daytimer, that's always been a paperback. We're on our 4th edition. And now we're going to make it a hardback. But you know what's amazing? That book has been translated in many languages. And by Pastor Daniel from Nepal, he just gave me the Nepalese version. This is all in Nepalese. And I am just so excited. They're actually printing them over there. And it's just so exciting to be able to reach all these nations thanks to you guys who are helping take the Torah to the nations. Yay. That reminds me, I don't know how many of you have ever watched the God's Daytimer video, the movie. Okay. We decided to put it on YouTube, so it's now free to everybody. So if you want to watch this movie, the God's Daytimer movie, you can now go to YouTube and watch it for free. Yay. Yeah. If you go to Shaddai Ministries YouTube and then type in God's Daytimer, the YouTube should come up. Jill knows, she's the one who did it, I believe. So, okay, are you ready? Are you buckled up? Here we are in 1 Kings 11. I'm going to show you some astounding things. Look at verse 1 and 2. It says, King Solomon loved many, what? Strange women. Who are these strange women that King Solomon loves? They're non-Jews. And it says, along with the daughter of Pharaoh, he married Moabites and Ammonites and Edomites, Zidonians, and even the hated Hittites. And these are the very nations concerning the Lord said to them, don't go marrying them. They'll turn away your heart. Well, look at verse 3 and verse 4 of chapter 11. It says Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines. That's like 1,000. Okay, the whole reason he had that many, the whole reason was for a peace treaty. He didn't want to be attacked, so what does he do? You marry the daughters of all the nations around you, and then they won't attack you. And this is what the Antichrist is going to do. It's a false peace agreement. And this is how Solomon is a type of Antichrist. Okay, and look at this. It says they turned away his heart. His heart was no longer perfect as David. Now look at verse 5 and 6. Solomon went after. In Hebrew, it implies chased after them. He went chasing after them. The goddess of the Zidonians, he also chased after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Solomon did evil right in front of the Lord's eyes. He didn't fully follow the Lord as David, his father. Now look at this next verse. This is going to be shocking. Christians have no idea regarding this next verse. It says in verse 7 and 8, 1 Kings 11, Solomon built a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem. That's the Mount of Olives, for heaven's sake. And he built one for Molech, the abomination of the Ammonites. And look at this. Likewise, he did this for all of his strange wives, which burn incense and sacrifice to their gods. Do you know what that means? Look at the PowerPoint. God told all the kings they were to tear down the altars. He built the first altar to Molech. Solomon sacrificed his firstborn son to Molech. Solomon is the one who instituted child sacrifice. It says right there, he chased after Molech. He built the altar to Molech. His wives offered sacrifices to Molech. That means his firstborn son from his Ammonite wife and his Moabite wife were offered up to Molech. That's right there. People don't even see it. He's a type of Antichrist, not Christ. And look at this now. It says in verse 9 and 10, the Lord is now very angry with Solomon because his heart had turned away. And the Lord had appeared to him twice and commanded him concerning this. But he kept not that which the Lord commanded. I mean, we all know we're accountable, okay? Yeah, I mean, in one sense, you're less accountable if you didn't know it. You're speeding. Oh, sorry, officer. I didn't know the speed limit. Okay, you're still going to get the ticket, okay? But it's one thing if you're a judge in your speeding or doing something, you're supposed to know better, okay? God literally appeared to Solomon twice telling him to quit it, and Solomon thumbed his nose at God. Talk about accountable. Number one, he's the king. That's where all the blame gets put, is on whoever's president, whoever is king. Okay, they're supposed to take responsibility. But God even appeared to him twice telling him to quit it, and he said, no, I'm not going to quit. Amazing. And then, so let's look at the consequence in the very next verse. The Lord tells Solomon, because you've done this and you've not kept my covenant and my statute that I commanded you, I'm going to tear your kingdom out of your hands and I'm going to give it to your servant. Wow. Well, Solomon's son to become king is Rehoboam. And he's thinking, I want my son Rehoboam to be the king, not my servant. So look what happens in verse 14. The Lord stirs up an adversary to Solomon. His name is Hadad. He's an Edomite. And he was of the king's seed in Edom. But guess what? Just like you see in the movies, Hadad was a little bitty boy, and now he's grown up. And look what it says in verse 17. Hadad